Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to cover the rest of the week that was in pro wrestling. Now, something funny that happened, I will say this right at the top of the hour. I obviously meant to cover Rampage and SmackDown, but I had a friend over who I haven't seen in a while, and we decided to hang out. So for today, I'm just going to be covering one single show, and that's TNA Wrestling. So, sorry if you were looking forward to my reaction to The Rock joining the Bloodline on SmackDown, or whatever else happened. I do apologize for that. But I'm going to cover TNA Wrestling here. And we start off with Jake Something versus Frankie Kazarian. And this was a good, finesse versus power kind of matchup. With Frankie constantly going for the chicken wing, but Jake Something powering out. Hitting a ton of leg drops. Frankie goes for the flux capacitor on the top. He gets pushed off by Jake Something. But then, via the roll-up, your winner, Frankie Kazarian. We then go backstage to a promo from Eric Young, who wants Frankie Kazarian face-to-face in the ring tomorrow, next week. Not for a match, but for a talk. So, we'll see what happens there, as Eric Young wants to sort this out man to man. Next up, we got Savannah Evans taking on Jordynne Grace, the Knockouts champion. It's definitely an interesting little matchup. Very short, including a win via the Muscle Buster by Grace. I'm going to say this, Savannah Evans has improved greatly since she's been here in TNA. And hopefully, we'll see what happens. Post-match, Shaw and Jay Vidal join in an attack on Jordynne Grace. Shaw Taraj has Grace up. Shaw with the denouement and finishes by holding the title up. So, that no surrender match is going to be interesting. Next up, we got an Ash by Elegance interview, kind of. It was announced as such, but in comes her concierge, who is Iceman, who I know he does stuff for, the Impact pre-show, but I don't think I've ever saw him. So for me, this is his debut. He introduces Ash and pretty much talks for her, announcing that is going to be her in-ring debut next week. So that should be fun. We then get a sound check segment. That's with Alan Angels and his guest, Simon Gotch, who is out complaining that, Josh Alexander has been given this push for 5 years. But who is the guy who got him noticed by Scott D'Amore? More on him in a little bit. I was his first match when Josh got signed to this company, and I haven't gotten a look since. So now I'm taking this spot, and I'm ready for Josh Alexander. Josh then comes in. It looks like they're about to brawl, but security breaks it up. And this is going to be an interesting little match for No Surrender, as it has already been announced. We then get match 2 of the best of 3 series between the Grizzled Young Veterans and Ace and Bay of the ABC. This story is pretty much painted the ABC as underdogs a little bit, as Ace Austin has been dealing with an arm injury, and anytime he goes for the 1-2 sweep, he kind of crumbles. His arm can't handle it. Grizzled young veterans take over. Hit a doomsday device, which that was impressive for a 2 count. Grizzled young veterans going for a grit your teeth, but Bay gets involved and interrupts it. Ace with a roll up for the victory for the ABC, with the last match going down at No Surrender for the tag titles. This one's going to be a good one. I can't wait. Then we get a Dirty Dango promo / whatever you want to call it. Pretty much saying, look, I never wanted to be, if I could go back in time and change something, I'd choose racing school over wrestling school, which this character is a bit one-dimensional, but I kind of dig it. Like, the I hate wrestling guy. Then he, brings praise to Scott Norton, which, there's a name I haven't heard in a few years. Then he issues an open casting call for teams in any school in the country with 1 year or less experience to challenge me and Oleg. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see who picks up the challenge. I don't think it's going to be next week. I think it might be the week after that this is going down. So, yeah. We then get a beautiful Mustafa Ali promo where he's, backdropped with like a presidential seal and everything. It looks great. Pretty much saying, look, TNA is obviously going through a change, but right now the X Division doesn't have an identity and no leader. I am that leader, and when I come around to TNA, everyone will declare, and Ali we trust. We then cut to backstage with the Good Hands showing their support for Ali. Chris Sabin comes in. He's like, "Oh, what are you dorks doing? Ali doesn't even know your name. He doesn't support you." He then turns around to a ton of backstage workers wearing Ali shirts. And apparently this sets Sabin off, and he starts wailing on them. Which is dang. Sabin then walks off with the Good Hands just kind of smirking at him. So, Good Hands as supporters for Ali. I could definitely get behind that. We then go for our one and only title match of the evening. And it's for the digital media title as Crazy Steve defends against Rhino. And yeah, this was a bit of a slobber knocker, if I could say so myself. Rhino just going in for the power stuff. Crazy Steve going a little crazy, including near the end he goes for the fork shot. The ref grabs him, takes the fork away. Grabs his digital media title, hits Rhino in the head with it to pick up the win. We then get a backstage video promo from PCO challenging Khan for a match at No Surrender. That should be a good one. We then were set for a Diener versus Joe Hendry match, but as Joe Hendry was making his entrance, AJ Francis shows a music video of terrible rapping, dissing Joe Hendry. AJ Francis then comes out saying, "See? You see how that feels?" Hendry's then like, "Alright, I understand how this feels. And it's not like I can retaliate. I don't have something ready." Roll the clip. We then get a music video set to AJ Styles' old TNA theme, which is great. Pretty much making fun of AJ Francis' dive from a year ago. which was scary. As it's finished, Diener attacks Joe Hendry. AJ Francis joins in with a big old choke slam. Then Rich Swann comes in, makes the save, and has a stare down with Francis. We then get some interesting footage of Steve Maclin going down to Puerto Rico to attack Nick Nemeth in the World Wrestling Council, in which Nemeth's getting around. That's pretty cool. So then we go into a backstage interview with Maclin and the Rascals. Pretty much saying, with Maclin saying, actions speak louder than words. And I'm going to show the world who he is. And I'm going to make sure Nemeth never steps in the TNA ring again. Then in comes Trent Seven and Mike Bailey, with Trent Seven challenging Steve Maclin to a match next week. That should be a good one. We then get a very interesting knockouts match, as it's Killer Kelly taking on Danny Luna, with, some really big hits during this match. But a win via the roll-up for Danny Luna, in which MK Ultra attacks Luna and Jody Threat post-match, with Decay making the save. We now have that match for No Surrender, as it's MK Ultra versus Decay. That should be a fun one. And fine, Alamo, we got our main event of the evening, as it's the World Heavyweight Champion Moose taking on Kushida in non-title action, with their teammates, Moose, that would be Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards. Kushida, that's Alex Shelley and Kevin Knight. They're barred from ringside. Oh boy, this match was a lot of fun. Moose obviously with the big power advantage, but Kushida just... It's amazing how much of a technical wizard Kushida is. Like, he's fast. Obviously, he's a shoe-in for the X division. I think he could hang in the World Heavyweight division, too. Like, this guy is maybe one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen. Near the end, we get a Tanaka punch from Kushida. That knocks Moose down. He goes for an elbow drop. That misses right into the spear, and Moose wins. Post-match, the System come out. They join Moose in celebration. They then attack Kushida, including Alicia Edwards getting involved, which that's going to be interesting. Then Shelley and Knight do make the save, but it takes them way too long. So the numbers are evened up. They kind of fight back, with Knight, Shelley, and Kushida clearing the ring. Yeah, that was a very interesting way to finish that off. Definitely interested to see where this goes moving forward. So, that is it for my review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Coming this Wednesday, I'm going to have a double dip of predictions. Not only do we have Elimination Chamber for the WWE this Saturday, if you're here on the East Coast, that starts at 5 a.m. because it's over in Australia and, time difference. But then also on Friday, you got TNA No Surrender, which, should be a dang good show. And then on Friday, I'm going to be covering the week that was in wrestling. However, I'm not going to be covering Raw because I have some plans tonight. And that just leaves NWA Power, AEW Dynamite, and TNA Wrestling Review for Friday. And then I'll review the two big shows on Monday. So that'll be that. hope you guys all enjoy the shows that are coming up. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.